Yes, it's John G. Sutton, Tales from the Jails. I've seen in the news today there was a speech made by the Chief Inspector of HM Prisons, a man calling himself Charlie Taylor, I believe, who said that the prisons are suffering from post-COVID torpor. In other words, that prisoners are being held in their cells and not doing any rehabilitation, not doing any education or physical exercise, and all that they're doing is lying around, sleeping and playing video games and watching television, and that there will be a price to pay for this boredom. That's what Charlie Taylor said. He made a speech at the Middle Temple in London, central London. Also gave a lecture at the Royal Holloway University of London. That's not the prison, that's part of the University of London, in which he specifically said that the jails had a responsibility to educate, train and increase the employability of prisoners with the aim of preparing them for their eventual release. Hallelujah, brothers. It ain't gonna happen. Listen, I'll tell you why it's not gonna happen. You have a look. There are advertising now. They're advertising all over Facebook for prison support staff, prison officers, yeah? And do you know what qualifications you have to be a prison officer? Yeah, you've got to be able to turn a key. That's basically it. Do you know you've got to be 18 years old now? That's all. You've got to be 18. And it's not national recruiting now. It's local recruiting. Might as well go and knock on the front gate. I've come for a job. They'll snatch your arm off. Come in, young lady. Because they are recruiting 18-year-old females. You don't have to be big, you don't have to be strong, you don't even have to be male. You just got to be 18 and able to turn a key. I don't know if you've been reading the comments on my site, but one gentleman said that his next door neighbour's daughter joined the prison service at the age of 21, actually. Said she lasted 3 weeks. She found herself involved in a cell fight with a couple of inmates. She was bashed against the wall, was absolutely terrified by this, and immediately resigned. What do they think they're playing at? You can't put people in charge of prisoners who are incapable of dealing with them. Listen, there's people get themselves in prison for a reason. Some of them are extremely dangerous. And back in the 60s, 70s and 80s, when I was there, you had to be 21. Generally speaking, you had to have some experience of life that would fit you for dealing with this kind of dangerous situation. In my case, I was a former provo corporal and a middleweight boxing champion in the military. I'd been in special forces. I'd been trained by the parachute regiment. I've been trained by the SAS, and I was ready to go. And indeed, at times that happened. I needed the skills that I'd got. But you can't put some 18-year-old wet behind the ear girls into prison and expect them to survive. They're either going to end up running drugs for the prisoners or seriously injured. It isn't going to work. And this guy's talking about they want staff to actually rehabilitate. The amount of time that the staff have got just about is sufficient to open the prisoners up, feed them, count them and lock them back in. That's how much time they've got. They're running on empty, believe me. And there's no point in somebody like Charlie Taylor saying, bemoaning the fact that the recidivism rates are extremely high. That means reoffending rates, basically. They're high, round about 50%. That means that half of the prison population, when they go out, will be back. That's their career. That's what they do. Seriously. And what this guy is saying is that prisons are doing far more punishment than they are at rehabilitating. I was at the Scrubs rehabilitation. There was one inmate there who was so angry at the way that he'd been treated when he was in prison that when he got out, he didn't go consider himself to get a job or anything like that. He went and got himself a shotgun, came back to Wormwood Scrubs, and as the staff were coming out of the Scrubs at lunchtime to go for the dinner, he was trying to identify the officers that had abused him and opened fire. That's what the rehabilitation at the Scrubs was doing. Talk about workshops in prisons. When I was at Strangeways, they had a big hall, and in that hall they had approximately 200 inmates sewing mailbags. I mean, you go out of Strangeways prison on discharge to the job centre and ask them, when they ask you what your expertise is, try getting a job sewing mailbags. It was like something from a Charles Dickens book. 200 inmates all sat round, and the staff were on these great big elevated chairs up some stairs, sitting over them like it would have been in the age of Queen Victoria. That was what they were doing at Strangeways. That was the workshop at Strangeways. Listen, prisons as they are completely and utterly dysfunctional. It costs almost £50,000 a year to keep every man every person in prison. Costs the country, this government, £50,000 a year. Do you know why they have prisons? I mean, all right, we say, well, people have broken the law. Yeah, I have seen old age pensioners in prison for not paying their television licence fee. I've seen an elderly gentleman in prison for walking his dog through a park where the local bylaws said you weren't allowed to take your dog. So he got himself imprisoned. I mean, these are dangerous individuals, yeah? I've seen people in prison for failing to pay their rates. I've seen people in prison for failing to pay their maintenance to their wives, mainly because they hadn't got enough money to feed themselves. There's a great problem in society, and they're lying to you. They're lying to you. I tell you, I'm mad about this. I'm angry about this because prison is not being used to protect the public. Prison is not being used to retrain offenders. Prison is being used to intimidate the working class. And that's the way it's always been. You look at the Gothic frontage of Wormwood Scrubs. Go and have a look at the frontage at Strangeways. Great big Gothic castle type exteriors. They're there to frighten the people. If you don't work, if you don't pay your taxes, if you don't follow all the little rules that we've got, we don't follow the rules, do we, Boris? No, but you do. You're the working class. You'll do this. And if you don't do it, then that's where you're going. Strangeways jail. They're not interested in rehabilitating you. No. You're a lesson to the other people. You're a lesson to the middle classes, because the one thing the middle classes fear is falling into poverty and falling down the ladder into the area of the working class, where the next step is Strangeways jail or Walton or Parkhurst or Wandsworth or the Scrubs. That's what we're going to get. And the idea that the prison system is going to rehabilitate you is absolute nonsense. They're paying staff. They're offering, look at the advertisements. It's on Facebook. They're offering 20,000 a year. Yeah, 42 hours a week in and up on the landings at Strangeways. Go back. I left the prison service in 1985. My last wages for the year, was over £17,500, and that's 37 years ago. They're just not paying people a living wage. Why are they not? Because they don't need anybody who's got any character, who's got expertise. Listen, in the prison system today, 50% of the staff have got less than 3 years service in. Seriously, there's no long-term expertise being passed down, no long-term system in place. The system has gone mad. The system is dysfunctional. It is not designed to rehabilitate inmates. It is designed to frighten the working class. Listen, you can get put in prison for a speeding offence. Seriously. 36 miles an hour I was doing. They sent me a ticket. Good. Take me to court. Prove it. I'm not going to fill in some form and convict myself. No. All right. We know which way it's all going to go. But if I'm paying for the ticket, then I want to see the show. Anyway, that's enough for today. I'm a bit mad with that, I tell you. I'm going to sing you a song now. Now, you won't know who wrote this, but I'm going to tell you. The guy who wrote this is called William Blake. It's a very famous song. They usually sing it at the last night of the proms. Now, I realise that it ain't going to be quite as good as... I'm not going to give you quite as good a rendition, but I will do my best. Are you ready? Are you all sitting comfortably? Anybody who doesn't like the old sing-along, John, you can switch it off now. Here we have Jerusalem by William Blake. And those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green, and was the holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen, and did their countenance divine shine forth upon our clouded hills, and was Jerusalem builded here among those dark satanic mills. Bring me my bow of burning gold, bring me my arrows of desire, bring me my spear, O clouds unfold, bring me my chariot of fire. And that's today's lot. I sincerely hope you enjoyed that. John G. Sutton here, wishing you all the best. Tales from the jails. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back soon. Hey, and you watch the Sean Atwood channel. I'll be on there soon. See you now.